So here's a look at the top of the amplifier chassis, and you can see the tubes here. Let me do this just so you can see the tube there. These are just tube shields. So anyway, let's take a look at what we have here. This is your first preamp tube, which handles the input. This is where you plug your guitar in. It handles the input there, and it amplifies that to send it to the tone control circuit, and that's handled by this tube. These are both 12AX7 9-pin preamp tubes, and this gets it back from the tone controls and amplifies it to the phase splitter tube, which is a 6C4. This is a single triode tube, 7-pin miniature, and that splits the phase of the two outputs and sends them to these two tubes, and these are your EL34 output tubes. And between these two, they're set up in push, what they call push-pull, and that provides about 50 watts of output power. And this is your output transformer that powers that these run through, and that's what your speaker is hooked up to. And this is the power transformer that takes the 110 volts and turn it into the high voltage. And it also powers the heaters for the tubes, because they have a heater built into them that makes them run hot, which is necessary for them to work. We have here the guitar input. This is your pre-gain or pre-volume or gain. Comes off of this tube. And then this is your post volume or master volume. And then your bass and treble controls. And then your power indicator. And there's really not much more to it than that. You can see it's you know, good old steel chassis from an old Bogan PA amplifier, a CHB-100. I chose to put the EL34s into the CHB-100 because it seemed like a good match, except that this amplifier, the output transformer, is supposedly rated at 100 watts, and the original configuration used 4 power tubes. But the power transformer on this particular amplifier does not have enough heater power to run 4 of these EL34s, because they take like 1.5 amps each of heater power, and the tubes, the power tubes that were on here, take about 3/4 of an amp, the original power tubes. So you can't really put 4 of these on there unless you want to add another heater transformer, which is more of a hassle than it's worth. So anyway, that's the story of how I've got this amplifier set up. And then let me turn it around and I'll show you the back. Hang on. Okay, well, this amplifier has a whole bunch of stuff. The original version of it has a whole bunch of stuff back here, connections and all of that. And when you take them all out, you have a bunch of holes back here. So I made a cover plate for that, and so I could mount the various things to it. So let's start over here. Here's your power supply socket for your power cord. Just any computer type power cord work for the 120 volt, 110 volt they used to call it, but it's actually 120 now. Here's your fuse holder, and then your main power switch. I only have one on here. I don't have a standby switch. With diode rectification, you don't really need the standby switch. And then I have here a speaker load switch. I have it hooked up for either 4 ohms or 8 ohms speaker load. And then I have 2 speaker outputs here. The main one here is a switched one. So if you don't have a plug in there, it's a grounded circuit, I guess you'd say. And that means that if you plug your speaker, you only have one speaker plugged in, you plug it into here, you don't get any sound out of it because it's grounded here. You have to plug, if you only have one speaker, you have to plug it into here. If you have 2 speakers, you plug the first one here, second one here, and you get sound out of both speakers. Anyway, so that's basically about all there is to that.